Faisal, you've mentioned the 12 fountains in King Solomon's treasure. Would you say more about that?
Yes, in this journey of discovering the essential domain.
Mm-hmm.
The essential domain is a kingdom. It's a huge kingdom. You know, it's like sometimes I think I am like a pioneer who just came to California, and then look, oh, there is mountains here, and there are valleys here, there are rivers here, and there is an ocean, and I'm just pointing to some of the major landmarks. Some of them I know more than others. Some of them I really don't know. I've seen, I touched on, and some I haven't seen, I haven't touched on. My quest from all what we're saying is not only sharing the knowledge and the blessings and the barakah, the empowerment, but also invocation, as we said, you know, like, please look, please get inspired and bring us this knowledge because it's really very profound. One of those things that I encountered in my life, in 77, 76, I was able to land in my true nature, in the enlightened being, in Buddha nature, and recognize its, you know, its true nature, that it is here, you know. And once you reach it, there is no doubt, you know. You might not sustain being in it.
Right.
They call it the sustaining of the view. You know, you dip in it and you come out, but it's always there. And whenever you reach it, it's always the same. It's like the ocean. You know, once you dip in it, you know it's the ocean, it's water, but there are gradations in it, there is sustain in it. And after that, 76, 77, first inspiration, first guidance came from the inner guide, what we call the diamond body. The diamond guidance was the verse of light in the Quran. You know, and you know, I wasn't into religion, but that verse came to my mind again, the verse of light. You know, and the verse of light, I made a video about it, you know, but I will recite it now and give a glimpse of it.
Oh, please.
Yes, it says, first I transmit it in the frequency of it in Arabic. It says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate. Allah, Allah, nur as-samawati wal-ard. مثل نوره كمشكاة فيها مصباح المصباح في زجاجة الزجاجة كأنها كوكب دري يوقد من شجرة مباركة زيتونة لا شرقية ولا غربية يكاد زيتها يضيء لو لم تمسسه نار نور على نور ويهدي الله لنوره من يشاء. Allah, which is in Arabic, you know, the name for God. Whether God, as we talked about the last time, is the absolute or the deity or the mechanism, a word that combines the totality of Godhood. How is that? It says Allah, the likeness of Allah is like a jewel structure, like a chandelier. Within this chandelier, there is a bulb of light. The bulb of light is surrounded by a glass bowl. You know? This glass bowl is like a pearly planet. This bulb of light is irrigated from a blessed olive tree that is neither from the east nor from the west. That its oil is luminous even though it's not touched by fire. This mechanism generates lights upon lights. And God or Allah, the deity, draws whoever seeks it to this mechanism, to this structure. If I wish it, if I am sincere, God will pull me to that and I will see it, become it, realize it. 77, this verse came, you know, what is this jewel structure? And what is this pearly planet? And what is this bulb of light? And where is it? In the cosmos, in the absolute, I don't see anything. It's just luminous, you know. And being trained in body work, you know, bioenergetics, Reiki, Gestalt, I took everything was relating to the body. And I thought, where is this olive tree, blessed olive tree? You know, And it's neither from the east nor from the south. And guidance come saying, maybe it's from north to south. Interesting. Yeah? There are many interpretations in Islam about this verse. It's amazing, complex interpretation. I'm not going to go into, but I'll just mention about the guidance, my guidance. You know, that was before doing the diamond approach.
Okay.
That these are things coming. What are they? What is this bulb of light? And what is this bowl of glass? And so it started with the tree is from north to south. The moment I said that, came that, so that's the spine.
Oh.
The spine and nerves coming out of it, the branches, you know, and they are connected to organs. These are the fruits of the tree, you know,
Wow.
and that's the olive tree. And I remember that when person works on purifying their character and negativities, that the spinal fluid inside get cleansed, you know, and people who are into Shakti, Kundalini, energy, all chakras, they work on cleansing the spinal fluid. And when the spinal fluid cleanses, it becomes like liquid water and then liquid qualities, maybe wine-like, and ultimately becomes pure olive oil-like. A feeling of fluid going in the spine, spreading from the spine into the whole nervous system. Medically, they say it cannot, nothing goes from the spine into the nervous system and like that. It is possible. So I felt that meditated, letting the absolute go into the spine, into the whole body. I could feel by time my spinal fluid beginning to shift in density and richness and begin to glow like olive oil light. And I used to call it liquid light. Golden liquid light flowing, and the golden liquid light started moving from the spine into the nervous system, and I felt it was like Shakti or Kundalini moving in my system, but denser than Shakti and Kundalini. Shakti Kundalini is more electrical. This was grace itself, oil, cleansing my body, washing my organs, and that's, oh, that is the olive tree. And then the organs and all of that start to gel and purify. Then it became like a jewel structure, like a chandelier. And that's when I discovered the chandelier. And the chandelier gelled and it became stupa. And that's when I discovered the stupa. And that when it gets richer into the brain and into the heart, this pearly substance started formulating. This is the pearly planet. It's the pearl beyond the price, we call it. And inside it, there was the point of light. The soul, the point, we call it point of light, but it is the person of light. It was me, but made of light, not made of flesh. A being, a person like me, exactly, in fact, it's me, you know, but not made of flesh. And this point of light, or this person of light, made of jewels and light, has a crown, has necklaces, exactly the Tibetan tankas. That was exactly my entity. So reaching the enlightened field accessed the cleansing, the opening when it's grounded in the body to see the grand vision of Allah. So Allah is a stupa, inside it is a pearl, inside it is a point of light, which is right above me. I show it again. There, you know, in the window, there is a point of light, a Buddha sitting in a jewel structure. And this entity, this jewel, the absolute goes through it and it gets differentiated into lights upon light, universes of light. That the stupa is like a prism, like when you have a prism and you point a beam of light into it, it comes out as a rainbow body.
Emanating from the heart?
And the totality. It is heartful, but it is all of you are heart. And that's why the Tibetan call it, the stupa is the heart of enlightenment. That Buddha, when he got enlightened, the first stage of enlightenment, he realized that his nature, the nature of everything is the enlightened nature, is the Buddhahood, is the absolute. But that wasn't enough. As he matured in his enlightenment, as he enriched, as he ripened, he realized that to enlightenment, there is a heart. That's what makes it enlightenment. Otherwise, it is awakening. The absolute is awakening. You recognize the Buddha nature, the mind in its nature. But when it ripens and begin to involve the whole creation and the kingdom, it becomes the jeweled heart, not the diamond heart, the jewel heart, much richer than the diamond heart. The diamond is only one dimension of the jewel heart.
The luminosity.
Sorry?
Luminosity.
Yeah, it has luminosity and diamond frequency, but there are pearliness in it, there's goldenness in it, there are crystals in it, there are amethyst. The jeweled heart is much more than just that, because it differentiates the absolute into infinite emanation. So this is the spaceship. This is the grand spaceship. Each one of us is a grand spaceship. When I was a teenager, I was crazy about UFOs. I wanted to find a UFO to take me somewhere out of this miserable planet. I used to go in the desert, camp 3 months with a tent, waiting for a UFO to come. My student come in the weekend to meditate, but I was looking for a UFO. Now I know what UFOs are. Yeah? Maybe there are other UFOs, I don't care. Really, if a UFO come now, I have no interest where they want to take me, because I can ride my UFO, my stupa, or my citadel, and I enter dimensions of reality. If you're going to take me from one planet to another, one civilization to another, may be interesting, you know, but I can go now into dimensions way beyond the physical universe, much richer than the physical universe. They are infusing the physical universe with light. So that was the discovery of the grand vehicle. And it took me about 38 years to discover this verse of light. What is this point? And it was the backbone of the diamond approach. Almas didn't know this. I was holding this. It was the each time we reach a quality, we think this is it. Oh, ultimately it's the pearl. No, the verse says the pearl is only one. Then we find the point. Oh, no, the point is another. Until this vision landed after 37, 38 years, I felt I landed in terms of spiritual knowledge and what's it about, that it is really the absolute and the vehicle and the verse of light, what God is, has manifested. The Sufis took it and took the verse of light and made the Persian rug. The Persian rug is the verse of light. They reserve the teaching of the Quran in the Persian rugs. So every Persian rug is a map of going to the stupa, to the point in the absolute. I talked about it in a longer, interview, I think Conscious TV. Yes. I did on it. Then there was another verse at the same time, clicking in my heart and mind. It says in the Quran, and as I said, I was not religious, but some verses stick.
Okay. What was your background with the Quran and when you were growing up?
I grew up in Islamic country, and we were taught the Quran in school as a religion, and I hated it. I hated Islam and religion because it was nothing but, containment and confinement. I wasn't exposed to the richness. And the meaning of it, But I was a poet. I love the Arabic poetry. So there were verses in the Quran struck me as poems, as music, as a song, stayed with me. The verse of light and others like this one that I will mention now. Okay. It's about Moses, When Moses took the tribes of Israel from Egypt, he took them to the promised land, right? And in the journey, they were lost in the desert, I think 40 years or something. And they got thirsty. And so much of the stories relating to the Moses and the Jewish relate to, they have certain yearnings and they ask God for it, but their mind always interprets it just materialistically.
Okay.
Yeah, that they ask Christ, for example, to bring them food, and Christ asked God to, and God descended upon them a table that was sustenance for all of them. And they interpret this sustenance that Christ ordered, fish came and cheese came and bread came and they ate. No, he ordered. The word for the table means essence. He asked for God to download essence for them. So the essential domain was landed. And that was the sustenance for them from the beginning of time till the time. But they forget, they're lost, you know. The Muslim, the Christian, the Jews, lost in the interpretation of things. This one is also another kind of lostness in the translation, but the meaning of it is something else, according to me, according to how I understand it. This verse says, they asked Moses for to drink. They're thirsty in the desert. So Moses prayed to God, you know, and the prayer was, we are thirsty. Quench us, give us something to drink. And God says to him, فاضرب بعصاك الحجر فانفلقت منه 12 عين قد علم كل أناس مشربهم. God says to Moses, take your cane, your stick, and hit the rock, smash the rock. And when you do, and when he did, 12 fountains started flowing.
Oh.
And each nation, or according to them, they say 12 tribes, but in the verse of the Quran says, each people, each nation knew their drink. And I wonder, what does that mean? Which rock, which 12 fountains, and which how did they know this is their drink? You know, it must be different drinks. It wasn't just water that came, you know, because this tribe said, I drink this, and the tribe said, I drink that, you know. So this question continued in my mind, and I still don't have the answer for it, but I give some insight for those who could really be inspired. I thought that there are 12 meridians. And each meridian may be blocked by a certain issue. And I know the fountain or the flow of the water essence or liquid relates to what blocks it is issue of cruelty in childhood.
Cruelty?
Cruelty, being cruel.
Oh.
A child that exposed to cruelty, the cruelty generates fear and grief and sadness, and the fear and the grief and the sadness, the shock layer, accumulate into defensiveness, and the defensiveness accumulate into or turns into dryness in the system. When a person gets scared, they get dry, their mouth get dry. So the system get petrified and get calcified and become a rock in one area or another. In the essential domain, there are positive states of essence and there are negative states of essence. You know, the negative state of essence we don't talk much about, like a state of defensiveness, which feels like iron in the system, hard. You know, really, some people get headaches, get, you know, migraine headaches or pains, or just like there are rubber in the system, resistance. Something in the system doesn't allow the flow to happen. There is lead, you know, a substance that's just make you heavy and unalive and bright. There is tar, substance that bring toxicity and poison, and there is acidity. There is, you know, and one of the negative state of essence relate to some form of defensiveness. Is rock. So if there was cruelty on the mind, for example, the child got attacked in about their mind, the rock may generate in the pineal gland or in the pituitary gland in the head. If the child is abused or attacked, they say physically, the rock might generate in the perineum or in the sacrum or in the lower center. And if a child gets attacked emotionally, the rock might calcify in the heart level, around the heart, around the lungs, around the liver. You know, so in every system we have, there is a rock somewhere.
Mhm.
defensiveness against extreme cruelty. And when that is seen, the rock opens up and it flows the liquid that was blocked. And maybe each rock blocks one of the 12 meridians.
Wow.
Yeah. So there may be 12 different kinds of waters. One meridian has clear water, one meridian has gold water, one meridian has silver water, so there may be 12 fountains of liquids that takes away the vulnerability of humanness.
Mm.
That's the rock that Moses hit. It was a rock that opened all the fountains. That is what is the Maharak then? Is there something like that? Is it possible that humanity suffers, all of humanity and all the psychology we know and pathologies and is due to 12 kind of vulnerabilities? That humanity is divided into 12 different kind of people, not just 9 in the Enneagram, but 12 different kind, connected to different meridians, connected to different constellations, connected to different
Archangels.
archangels, right? Modes of behavior, and that really humanity, the psyche of the humanity is much simpler than all this Freudian and New Age psychology that is elaboration around a rock, around a defense mechanism, around a quality of essence that's blocked. And maybe there are 12 kind of nations on earth. Really. The Chinese are blocked in this domain, the Middle Eastern in that domain, the American in this domain. This is a huge amount of knowledge to be opened. In the Quran, it was not about little things. In this guidance, the holy book, it's divine guidance, has the really divine words in it, And it's saying, here is the verse of light. Now I know the verse of light. I really know. I have the certainty of what it is. Here is the stupa and in the absolute, and I'm resolved about it. The 12, I still pray. Is it 12 kind of waters, or is it 12 kind of liquids? Liquid gold, liquid silver, liquid platinum, liquid diamond, liquid, what are the different ailments? In the Bible, it talks about the holy city in the Bible, Jerusalem land. And when you enter Jerusalem, there is a river there, and around the river there grows 12 kind of trees. And each kind of tree is a healing of nation or ailment.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing? I said this, the elephant in the sun, it's not in the dark. We read it every day. What are the different trees?
Well, also 12 archetypes.
And 12, you name it. The principle with 12 applies to all. Is there a knowledge to be gathered? 12 fountains, 12 fruits, 12 substances, I pray for this. I haven't solved it. It inspires me a great deal. I wish someday I see this. I have glimpses of the 12, but I really don't really have the knowledge, the certainty, I wonder if some people in the Kabbalah knows it, or some people in the mystical schools knows it, that maybe, honestly, maybe humanity suffer from 12 kind of ailments, anxiety, fear, grief, and there is a cure, there is a drink, And when the Prophet Muhammad had a saying that God said to him, God said, "Inna li sharabun li awliyai. Idha sharibu, taribu. Idha taribu, طلبوا. إذا طلبوا عشقوا. إذا عشقوا ذابوا. إذا ذابوا اتصلوا. إذا اتصلوا فلا فرق بيني وبينهم." The divine says, I have drink, I have celestial drink for the ones who love me, for my beloveds. When they drink it, they rejoice. When they rejoice, they seek, they want more. When they seek, they fall in love. When they fall in love, they unite. When they unite, there is no difference between them and me, to the extent when they say, be it, it becomes. What is this celestial drink? I take it all something down to earth, something I want to ground spirituality from religion and spiritual abstraction to something runs in the blood, in the fascias, in the tissue, in the organs, in the psyche, in the mind. It's one holistic kingdom. But we got so fragmented, making so many domains and compartmentalization. Maybe it is not that way. Maybe Allah is the human, is the absolute, is just so close. You know, but in our mind, we went so far away, so lost in the desert.
Yeah, but you're really pulling back into, I mean, so many associations.
Yes.
So I wonder, so when you say, you know, cruelty is, you know, there's a dryness that comes from cruelty, and then you mentioned iron, rubber, lead, tar, acidity.
Yes.
As all qualities, negative qualities of essence.
Mm-hmm.
Are there more that you're familiar with?
Glass.
Glass, okay.
I can't remember now. These are the major ones. Maybe I forgot. But each one is the petrification or the result of struggle around, you know, like rubber has to do with resistance.
Mm-hmm.
Like the child is forced to go the way of the parents and the child resists. I'm not going to go this way. I want to go that way. The system becomes full of rubber, you know, and rubber affect the muscles. That's why, for example, in therapy and working, the approach that we're approaching was, especially through the diamond approach, was through knowledge. That by knowledge, we will undo the structure. Okay. But knowledge cannot undo the rubber in the muscles. You know, you need breathing.
Right.
You need Tai Chi. You need, right? So knowledge can help with the mind. If the blockage is in the nervous system, you have the internet and you delete, the essence flows. But I was stuck in my muscle. I was stuck in certain organs. So I had to do bioenergetics, breathing, releasing, crying, hitting, screaming. I didn't want to know anything. For 6 years, my Bible was the book called Bioenergetics by Alexander Lowen. Yeah. Each page I read it, I apply it to myself. I am schizoid, I'm schizophrenic, I'm borderline, all of them, I am me. Each day I discover a layer in me. And I release it through crying, through releasing, through breathing. Some people, they're stuck in their organs. They're stuck in their fascias or tissues. So if the knowledge becomes excessive, to use mind and inquiry and informant that way, it is not meeting the three corners of the Enneagram. Some are stuck in their nervous system, some are stuck in the glandular system, some are stuck in the muscles. We need to use skillful means to combine all of these approaches. How to deal with rubber, how to deal with iron, how to deal
acidity.
How to deal with acidity. Yes, you know, acidity is a defense sometimes against merging. You know, like I want merging, but I don't want the sweetness that comes with the merging. It reminds me, you know, of rejection and hurt. So I become acidy. You know, you see some people, they're really acidy. They spoil everything. You know, they're really acid, but the acid is blocking the merging. The gold merging was not flowing. It turned into sourness, into bitterness.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Makes sense. So lead has to do with consciousness. You know, like if consciousness is allowed, if the household is say open, clear, there fun, excitement, discoveries, you know, then there is brilliancy in the air, there is spaciousness in the air, these qualities of essence. But if the household is say dull, you know, dumb, stupid, they don't want to know anything, they don't want to question anything, then the brightness of mind, the brilliancy of essence get shut down, get slowed down. The result, it becomes lead. And lead has a sense of overwhelm. If there is just dullness, boredom, discouragement, then the child just want to sleep. if mom and dad fighting every day, the child is going to go to its bed and sleep. So lead is a form of going to sleep. The 9 and the Enneagram, they are so much in lead, you know, and so they need to be aware of lead. And by becoming aware of the lead begin to speed up its frequency and turn into brilliancy, to essential brilliancy. So it goes through alchemical process, not through becoming smart, getting, like go study math and you become smart. No, it is literally taking the lead in the brain, in the pineal gland, becoming aware of it, becoming conscious of it. The moment you become conscious of lead, as if this awareness of it gives it the momentum to activate higher and higher frequency. And you see the whole brain lighten up, or the whole pelvis lighten up. Lead becomes brilliancy. Acidity turns into sweet gold. Rubber turns into pearl. Iron turns into space. Negative states, when they are dealt with effectively, they transform from negativity to positive essential state. So this is one of the puzzles that's there about the 12 meridians, the knowledge that's there. Maybe it's much simpler. And now we got so, I don't know, how sometimes, people take one thing and elaborate till it becomes excessive, Yeah. Like, why don't you say you just wanted, a hug? That's all, why are you throwing a tantrum and analysis forever? All you need is a hug. It becomes sometimes that simple, really. So I wonder if this knowledge comes, the day knowledge comes, some people discover that we might upgrade our healing, psychological healing, physical healing, because we will know which quality of essence is blocked. Red essence or golden essence, or the 12 fountains. Where are they? What are they?
It's a great inquiry.
Is the body 12 systems? Heart and circulatory system and lungs, and is it really made of 12? And each one has to do with certain cruelty. And what are the 12 trees? I leave it as inquiry. I leave it as encouragement. I pray before I go. I figure it out. This verse, the verse of light, and this one, so inspiring because they are universal. They have something about it that includes humanity. So I hope it happens.
Thank you, Faisal.